Sacramento!
Hello and welcome back to the 916 Republic podcast. While I thoroughly enjoyed that past 4 months of interviews, we here at the pod are happy to be back in person.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Talking about actual soccer games to be played in Sacramento. It warms my heart to be able to say that joining me in the studio is a man who can give me his COVID any day. Zach Winnick, welcome back to the pod. Welcome back to my house. How are you doing today?
I'm doing real well. It feels kind of weird.
It does.
Being together again. It has been a minute since we've recorded together in person.
It has. It's like, I forgot what you looked like almost.
Your hair's gotten a lot longer.
It's gotten a lot longer. Yours has gotten a lot shorter.
That's true. That is true. I shaved my head. And it's already growing back. So,
But, well, speaking of men whose hair has gotten longer, it also warms my heart to be able to say that joining me in the studio today is none other than 916 Republic's chief editor, show director, and Twitter bot, Scott Waits. Scott, how are you today?
I'm good. I mean, I haven't really been on Twitter. It's just kind of been almost like...
Yeah, just like checking in.
It's like, what do you do?
It's I don't know. So
tweet from the club, retweet.
Exactly. It's like there's...
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. Retweeting things. I mean, I've kind of been putting out when there's new episodes, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's good to be back actually recording.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about stuff like just like the three of us, like texting and stuff. But now we're actually here recording back at Studio A. I'll say
Studio A. We'll call it that.
Yeah, Studio
I like
A.
That. My bedroom is Studio A.
Yeah. I really quick. Maybe should we? I mean, it's been 3 weeks since maybe even longer.
Yeah.
Since we've actually talked to people, and it's been a while since Zach has been on, so we just really want to.
I've been busy.
Just go through real quick and just say what's been going on in our lives.
Oh yeah.
For like 30 seconds a person.
Little life update.
Yeah.
Basically, long story short, I had a part-time job. The part-time job became the job of 3 people, and then now, as of last week, it is back down to a semi-part-time job, but probably not for the next couple months. So my life has been busy.
Yeah. So like I've told people, like Zach's boss left, and then so Zach and I. Well, actually, I didn't say this. Like Zach and I kind of like worked together for a little bit, even though like he wasn't paid. That's church life.
Yeah.
And then I took a different job, and then shortly after I left, Zach's boss left, so there was kind of nobody there. So Zach was kind of doing all 3 of ours jobs, and then now Zach actually has a new boss, which happened I think quicker maybe than we were expecting, just knowing where we work, or where you work and where I used to work. Which so that's good, but it doesn't mean that you're still going to be busy for a bit.
It's a transition.
It's going to be
period,
rough
so.
for another probably month-ish, maybe more. So,
but there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep,
and there is help along the way in that light.
Yep. And I am in my last class for my master's, so I'm almost done with that grind. And then my baby is still alive and kicking, so that's
Scott
good.
is having a baby. We covered that in the last episode.
Yep. Nolan says he planned it.
I planned it.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was perfectly executed.
Oh gosh.
Going on with me, I graduated from college this spring and will be going to law school in the fall. So if anyone needs a legal intern, who I just need a couple minutes a day to get away from my online Zoom classes, and hey, I'm yours. So reach out via Twitter, and Scott will then connect me with you.
My people will talk to your people.
Yes, exactly.
So do you have an official start date for
August
law
17th.
school?
August 17th.
Oh, wow.
And as of now, they're hybrid online or distance learning in-person classes, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I just totally faded off, which I was not trying to do into the microphone.
Yeah, that's
trying
whatever.
to keep my volume level steady. But yes, August 17th is when that resumes. And also just to catch the listeners up, if you, like many of us, are just checking back into the soccer world and haven't been following the pod for the past couple of months, we have been doing stuff. So we actually have had the opportunity to have a couple cool interviews with people such as Jeff Reuter, a journalist for The Athletic. We had an interview just recently with Dennis Sanchez, the Sacramento Republic Academy director. We had a conversation with a couple current and former players. Names are failing me right now.
You're talking interviews that we
interviews
had?
that we had with players. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Justin
we
Braun.
had Justin Braun. We had
Merkovich.
Yeah, we had
Ivan
Merkovich.
Merkovich.
We had
Ivan Merkovich.
Andrew Wheeler Amino.
That was a fun one.
Yeah. I think that's probably that's a good summation for players. Yeah, we also had Lisa Rodriguez of SB Nation,
Evan Ream,
Jeff Ruder, as you said, Matt George
from
KHCK,
KHTK40,
the radio, and then honestly, I think my favorite thus far has been Dennis Sanchez from the soccer side.
Yeah,
I think from enjoyment. They're all enjoyable.
Yeah,
That's
they
the hard
were.
part.
We can't take a favorite.
Justin was fun. I really like
Justin was a lot of fun. I was just really surprised, not to toot our own horn, but like how much Dennis Sanchez actually told us about the new like academy thing that's coming for Major League Soccer and how they're going to be a part of it and everything. So that was really cool. And there's actually still one more interview that we have that we'll put out, just probably like a midweek special thing coming with, and I think we've teased it for a while. We just haven't had the time to put it out. With Hayden Partain, so we'll catch up with him, and he's going to bring Mitchell Tainer on. So that was a couple months ago, but yeah,
that was a fun
so
one too.
we'll put that out as well.
Yeah, so scroll back into your feed and listen to those episodes if you haven't already. Well, hey, this brings us to my favorite segment of the show, the news segment.
What is that? Oh, the news.
It happens
segment.
to be the news segment. There's been a lot going on in the soccer world, and we're not going to try to cover all of it. We're mostly going to...
So we're going to go league by league here, talk about every single professional league in the world.
You should just...
Every match that has happened.
We're starting a podcast for every league in the world that has restarted since since COVID.
Gosh, that would be so much.
We're not doing that.
I would die.
No.
Yep.
We have 3 news items to cover today.
That's it. Newsworthy
that's it.
articles.
Yeah, pertaining to Sacramento. The first is that we've been following the story regarding potential player wage cuts during this whole pandemic and economic crisis. But Jeff Ruder, a very reliable writer for The Athletic, who we interviewed, just published an article on June 17th. And according to him, players will not be taking any pay cuts for the 2020 USL season. That does not mean that staff and people associated with the club will be paid fine 100%. There have been layoffs. There have been furloughs.
I mean, Sacramento
has had
layoffs.
their own bout of non-technical staff, I guess, or non-playing staff.
I don't know if they specified.
Yeah, there were layoffs according to the SACP. But players will be paid, which I think makes sense because they're the ones taking a huge risk, getting back to it and exposing themselves and their families to potential greater rates of COVID.
And I think one thing they did say was like it's going to they have furloughs but pay cuts. So everyone is kind of feeling the hit. So it's not like, oh, the upper people they're not touched. They made it sound like, at least to me,
they tried to make it fair,
that
pretty
it was
comprehensive.
Yeah, it was pretty as evenly dispersed as made sense for the club.
Yeah. So that's depressing and happy in the same moment.
In the same regard.
Something a little more on the happy side is the news of a Sacramento USL Academy signing. So Sacramento, I think, released last week the news that 15-year-old midfielder Rafael Jauregui has been signed to a USL Academy contract. So he joins Diego Ramos and Julian Chavez on academy contracts playing with the first team. So he will be available to play for Sacramento while maintaining his NCAA amateur status. So that's great news for him. And we're excited to see what he can do with the team. I don't know if he's going to play a lot. There have been 13 of these academy signings, and I don't think hardly any of them have played for the team.
Yeah, but it just feels kind of like a new era. And with, I think, just where we're at in the season, this is normally the time when we are seeing that midseason signing.
Right.
Yeah,
and,
true.
Maybe this is it. Maybe the team saying, well, we can't afford to pay someone, so we'll just promote the next academy kid to a position of need, and it maybe make things a bit easier for Mark Briggs because he's not evaluating a new player that he's not familiar with. He should be familiar with Rafa. And it's not a guy that's going to be competing for minutes, so there's less maybe drama in the locker room, if you will. I mean, it makes sense to me for now.
Yeah.
But I think you're probably right, Nolan. Seeing the field this year, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. If any at all. Yeah. Now, finally, for the news segment, let's talk about this restart and how games are going to be structured, how the league, the USL Championship League, is going to be structured for this season moving forward. So it'll be a 16 total game schedule, which means for us, Sacramento have played one game already. That one game counts, so we have 15 total games left. It is a group style. Kind of think maybe along the lines of the Champions League. It's similar to that. You have pool play, so you'll play the teams within your pool. Sac Republic are in Group A. There are 4 teams in that group. Those teams are Tacoma. I just had it in front of me. Reno.
And Portland too.
There you go.
But-
Tacoma, Reno, and Portland too.
But so with that, there's going to be the few random games with other teams that are close to us. So I think we play LA Galaxy
It's a regional
2,
thing. Yep.
San Diego, Orange County, and I think that's it. We might play like Vegas or so. I can't remember.
Did we say the Galaxy too?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
So anyway, sorry, continue,
Yeah.
Zach.
Yes. So there are 8 total groups. So how that works is after those 16 games are played, top 2 teams in each group go on to 16-game single elimination knockout tournament style playoff. How that will work is basically, so for example, Group A number 1 seed will play Group B number 2 seed. Sac Republic are Group A. Group B is a tough division, or
Yeah,
a tough group.
It's an interesting group because it's 5 teams. So it's, first of all, we should say I'm really glad that Sacramento didn't get a group of 5.
Yeah.
So there was going to be 3 groups of 5. One was going to have to be in the East, just based on numbers, and 2 were going to have to be in the West. So there was a 50-50 shot that Sacramento got in a group of 5. We got a group of 4, which is very good for us because only the top 2 advanced. So there was going to be, more games that meant points for standings in your group and stuff. So that's very good for us. The Group B is 5 teams. I believe, Zach, you can check me. It's Phoenix, LA Galaxy 2, Orange County, San Diego, and Vegas.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And we don't play Vegas. I just checked.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 of those 5 advanced. Now you're probably thinking LA Galaxy 2 is probably a no, just based on the strength of other teams.
Vegas,
and you're thinking Vegas.
Probably.
Vegas just fired their coach. I don't know if you got-
Winalda?
Yeah, he's
Eric
done.
Winalda?
He's done.
I didn't even know that.
I mean,
Why?
well, they
Why?
weren't doing anything, so like, why are they paying him?
Oh.
I think that's number 1. And I don't know if he really loved being there, just
Yeah.
based on his personality type. That's just kind of what I get the feel of.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
So
go
probably
ahead.
not them.
I'm gonna go ahead and say they're not in. So it's between San Diego, who's a first-year team, but they have a pretty strong squad. You can go
Yeah,
back and
good
listen
coach.
to our preview about them.
Phoenix,
who we know,
Emma.
Phoenix, who we know is strong, and then Orange County, who we said in the season preview, and back in February, March, that they're going to be a
team.
strong team.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I want to play, if I'm going to be feeling good, even if Sacramento wins Group A. I mean, they're going to have to play probably one of San Diego or Orange County. Now, of the 2, I think San Diego is probably the better bet just because they're new.
Mhm.
So
Of the
it's-
2 making it or not making it?
Sorry, say that again.
Of the 2 between Orange County and San Diego, you think San Diego will make the top 2 in their group or will fall out?
I'm saying if they do, I still wouldn't be like, oh, okay, like we're playing the runner-up in Group B.
That's
Yeah.
That's
still
fine.
going to be tough.
Like it's still going to be tough.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Right.
And I watched San Diego's they've played 2 games already, I believe. Yes, they've played 2 games already. They look strong. They had a win and a draw. They put together, that's another team that we previewed in the offseason as a strong team. They put together a great roster, and they have a coach that seems to really want an identity early.
You talking about San Diego?
Yeah, San
With
Diego.
Landon
the
Donovan?
Loyals. Yeah,
Yeah.
with Landon Donovan. Wants an identity early and seems very driven. So, yeah, that's a team that's going to be really good. If I had to bet, that Loyals team is going to be really good off the bat.
Now, the good news with Orange County and San Diego is we see them once this regular season. So we do get a chance to kind of size them up against us.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit later. I don't think it's a little bit later on. I'd have to double check the schedule. But
yeah, that is the restart. That's what it's going to look like.
So, real quick, just reviewing Sacramento's chances in their group. we're pretty much saying it's guaranteed they make it to the playoffs because
I-
Tacoma and Portland just aren't going to do it.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if Sacramento doesn't make it out of this group, I'll be shocked because we haven't gotten to Tacoma, so I'll leave that for a second. But we don't think they're going to be particularly amazingly strong, although they do have young talent. Same thing with Portland. There's players that would maybe drop down to the first team that aren't because they're going to be in the MLS's back tournament, which is a weird name. And then there's Reno, who is also, don't forget, an MLS2 team. So we have three MLS2 teams, two kind of true out and out reserve teams, and then Reno is kind of that
Farm teams.
hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, Reno's good.
Reno's-
Reno is a solid team.
Reno is going to be a solid team. You're right. So it's really us and Reno,
It's
in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
If
us and
somebody
Reno's
else-
place to lose.
If somebody else wins, it's a huge upset in my opinion.
I mean, if either one of those, either one of the Portland or Tacoma teams get in, somebody's getting fired.
Yeah.
That's how it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's just the short of it.
So we play Orange County Wednesday, July 29th at home, and then we play San Diego Saturday, August 1st away. So those are our two chances to size them up. Anything else, Zach, with the structure to the return to play?
Nope. I think that's about it.
So I just really quick, I think it goes through the first week in October, I believe, is the last regular season game. And then we go to the playoffs. So we could potentially, and Nolan's fact checking me right now, but we could potentially be playing through October. So if you're
October
thinking,
17th is the last official regular season game
Yeah.
against Phoenix.
okay, against Phoenix, really?
Yeah.
No, that's
October
the old,
17th.
that's the old schedule.
Really?
Yeah. See how it's
I
crossed
thought
out. See how the date.
I see.
Yeah.
The schedule's hard to find. Sorry, Vaughn.
It's October 3rd versus Portland Timbers 2.
It's the
Okay,
last
there you
game
go.
Is the
of
last one.
regular season.
So we could potentially be playing through October if we make a little run in the playoffs like we did last year. Now, why do I bring that up? The first month of games through July, there are no fans. The team has already said there's no fans,
Yeah.
which again maybe 100% relates to why there were layoffs and furloughs and things like that. So if you're thinking, man, I don't get to go to a game, well, just keep your fingers crossed that things turn up, things look better toward the end of August and maybe end of September, and maybe we'll get to go to games September, October. So just keep your fingers crossed. We still haven't heard back about media being allowed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just us. We're no one, but so just keep your fingers crossed that you might be able to attend some games. Anything else with that? I think that's all I wanted to talk about. You're good? Okay. Well, let's move on to our preview of Tacoma. And then also, just after we're done with Tacoma, we're going to talk just a little bit about Sacramento Republic because it's been,
our own boys.
It's been like 5 months since we've seen them play. I don't actually know. It's been a while. So
Since
Tacoma,
March.
they played 2 games. They were one of the few teams that actually played 2 games. They had 2 losses. They lost to San Diego 1-2 and Reno 1-3. They allowed 3 goals after the 74th minute, and this is all going to be kind of accumulating to a final conclusion here. So they allowed 3 goals after the 74th minute. However, they did score in both of their games earlier on in the first half. They did allow a goal from a set piece, and they didn't seem to do well, Tacoma, with low crosses. So they allowed actually 3 goals from low crosses, and 2 of them were drive into the box and then cut it back toward the penalty spot. Kind of that typical, this is what we train from, age U6 till however old, right? You drive in, and then if nothing is open, then you just cut it back into the middle and hope that an on-running midfielder is there. They allowed 2 goals from that. They also allowed a goal from a set piece, like I said. So it seems that maybe those things that are kind of the more basic training things, they might struggle with a little bit. Now, when things get, it's weird. It's almost like when things get hectic and not planned, I think they're athletic enough and well coached enough to handle those. But when coming up against teams that, like, hey, this is our plan. We want to drive, get the ball into the box, cut it back to the penalty spot. We want to have a low cross across the face of goal. We want to have this, rehearsed set piece play. Those are the type of things that when the opposition is just clicking, maybe they don't handle as well. They're not their soccer IQ hasn't just gotten there where they can read things that half a second quicker to cut it out. Now, if you remember back to the first time we played Tacoma last year, Seattle Sounders dropped down like 6 or 8 players from the first team, and they beat us 2-1. That's not going to happen this time. Seattle is at the Major League Soccer tournament in Orlando. They're not going to be sending players back to Sacramento for a reserve match. We can't do that right now. So the good news is whatever young players they have, whatever players are on their roster, Tacoma's, that's what they got to work with.
Yeah.
Now, we've read the MLS is back tournament roster rules, and from what we understand, they can have 23 players. The Sounders have 27 players on their roster. So we're thinking that they might have to leave behind 4 players. We're not sure if that's true. We're not sure if they can only have 23 players on their roster and they can cycle those players in and out. We're not 100% sure. But don't be surprised if maybe they do choose to leave back some players that are on first-team contracts, but maybe they're 17, like Josh Atencio. I think he's 18 or something, 17 or 18. But he's not playing first-team minutes right now. So a guy like that might be left back to play with Tacoma. So, in conclusion, they're a younger team that don't have many veteran players. They're probably going to come out of the gate pretty fast, but I think they have trouble adjusting in game. So that second half, those last 20 minutes or so, when veteran players can say, okay, this isn't working, I can try this. And I know I can try this because I've done it before, and it might throw this player off.
That experience isn't there.
Yeah. Tacoma, I think, struggles with that. That's why they allowed goals late. That's why they allow maybe some quicker rehearsed goals that more veteran players wouldn't. So if Sac can get out of the first half without conceding, I think they're going to be set up pretty well. If they can come into the second half with a tweak, like maybe I almost said buckle. That's totally the wrong coach. If Briggs can notice some things that he can tweak in the second half, I think they should be fine. I'm not saying they're going to win 5-0, but I think they should be fine. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I think I agree. With that being said, we've had a long break, and as we've seen in both the Bundesliga and with, Premier League soccer starting, with all of the leagues that have started up, weird things happen after you haven't played soccer in many months. So I anticipate that we're going to win, but don't be surprised if some weird things happen.
Yeah, and one thing that really makes me confident that Sacramento will come away in this game with a win is the fact that a lot of players are available now that weren't available in March when Sacramento drew 1-1 with
a lot of veteran players,
with Tulsa. So maybe this is the segment of the show where we're shifting to talk more about Sacramento. And just to refresh all of our memories, let's remember that Derek Formella, Carlton Belmar, Rodrigo Lopez, Tomas Hilliard Arce, and Jaime Villarreal were all unavailable or not fully fit. I think Roro came in for 15 minutes.
Came in the 70-something minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
During that game against Tulsa. But all these guys were not fit or fully available against Tulsa. I'm assuming that 4 months of not playing games has allowed most of these guys to recover from the injuries they had suffered. And so they are going to be available to replace players who did get surprise starts in that game against Tulsa, namely Hayden Sargis, an academy. He's signed to a first-team contract.
But he's from the academy.
Yeah. He's 18. Same thing with Mario Panagos, center back, and then an attacking midfielder, Mario Panagos, who also started that game, played 75 minutes. And then also Andrew Wheeler-Amanu, who we did not expect to start, but who did and
we
played
did not
very well.
Expect to be a beast.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I think this is really the big conversation for me. Look, no offense to the two guys from the academy, but if there are veteran players that you're paying more money. I mean, they're going to start. Yeah. I'm nothing against Sargis or Panagos. They played actually pretty fine.
Sargis had good. A hockey assist.
Yeah.
Yeah. A great hockey assist.
Yeah, and if those guys are in the starting lineup, I'm not going to be maybe that surprised.
Yeah.
Andrew Wheeler-Aminu, though.
Gotta be in.
But who does he come out for?
I don't know, but he's gotta be
Or
in.
who
It's
doesn't
him.
go
It's
in?
him or Jaime Villarreal.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
The MVP of
if you have-
2019.
If you have a healthy Jaime Villarreal, that's now been that's how many weeks has the training moratorium be lifted? 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So they've had 2 weeks of full contact training. There's been another few weeks of like small sided, and then another couple weeks of like individual training before that. I mean, if Jaime Villarreal is fully fit, can you really say?
can you really bench him?
Can you bench him? Where
Can you
he's
bench
like,
him?
you can say, hey, I had, if I'm Jaime Villarreal, I'm saying I've been good for 2 years,
Yeah.
if not more. And
Nah, you've been great.
I've been good for a while in this
Mm-hmm.
league versus Andrew Wheeler-Aminu, who had one good game with
Yeah,
Sacramento,
Fair.
and then before that was.
Well, he had a great preseason game too.
Yeah, he had a fine preseason game as well, but it's preseason. But then before that,
Yeah.
he was with the League One team in Tucson,
Phoenix.
and then he made a few appearances with Phoenix. And then before that, he was with Atlanta United too, where he was he was a center mid, he was a number 8, he was a right back. I mean, he just didn't fit there. He never really broke in with Atlanta United, which I mean, that's no
to
knock
be
against
fair,
him.
he did speak of in our interview the fact that it's like, okay, it's either me or Miguel Almiron. Like it
Yeah.
was hard to break into that team.
Who is like Miguel Almiron is like.
Just scored 2 goals in 2 games for Newcastle in the
Yeah.
Premier League.
So like I get that Andrew Wheeler-Aminu had an amazing game, and we love him. I'm just from that one game, we were like, yes, this guy's amazing fit, at least for this system in that one game. But I mean, can you really not play Jaime Villarreal?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
But
Yeah.
okay, I will say this: this happens when you get a new coach. Like
Yeah.
Andrew Wheeler-Aminu always said, like, I was the guy that covered the most ground. But not now that I'm in Sacramento with Stu Skundrich. So if Mark Riz is thinking, I need guys that cover ground and can close down super fast, I think maybe Andrew Wheeler-Aminu might just be better at that than Jaime Villarreal. Not that Jaime doesn't cover ground, it's that
Yeah.
Andrew can do it quicker.
Well, and you also have a very talented but aging number 10 in Roro.
Right.
And so now you pair Roro with 2 guys that can run and close gaps quickly. You free up Roro in the attack, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah, if you say,
Yeah.
hey, Roro, your defensive responsibility is just to get in front of a center back or a number 6 that's pushing forward with the ball, like just don't let them walk past you
Yeah.
and then let these other 2 guys run
Yeah.
behind you. That makes sense.
Which will happen. If you have those 2 guys in the lineup, that's going to happen. That's how they play.
Yeah. So, again, not a knock against either player, but I think there's a reality where one starts over the other.
Yeah.
So it may be questioned then for you 2 guys, is there a possibility that both of them start and Skundrich sits?
I haven't considered it.
Maybe
Too much.
that's telling right there. Like,
Yeah.
no,
I don't think so.
I haven't really considered that either, just because of what we said. Skundrich covers so much ground.
Yeah.
And the way that I've heard Briggs talk about him too, I just think.
And he did score the goal.
And he scored a goal.
Yeah.
He's not coming out.
I-
And if I had to be a betting man, he's not coming out. It's between Aminu and Villarreal. And quite honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we'll find out on
Okay,
Monday.
so then maybe another player that was hurt was Carlton Belmar.
Yeah.
He wasn't
True.
even in the 11. He had an injury in practice, and he was gonna be out for a few weeks. That's what we heard. Well,
Uh-huh.
it's been a few months, so I'm gonna go ahead and say he's healthy.
He's probably good.
Is there a possibility he starts over Cam? Because Cam did not have a good game.
No.
Cam had a tough
He had
game.
we watched him in preseason, and it was
Yeah.
not beautiful. It wasn't.
It
wasn't there.
No, it wasn't. It's his touch. His touch was just gone. I think that's tough. That's a tough one too. I mean, just as much as Jaime, the team MVP.
And
As tough as it's
Cam has
tight-
been all over the teams, like social media.
Cam
like-
is the face of the team.
Yeah.
That's just let's
I'm
just
a-
call it like it
Yeah.
is.
I'm going to go out there and say, both from a PR perspective and a tactical perspective,
Yeah.
Cameron Owasle starts. But if he does not play well in that first half,
Yeah.
Briggs will do something similar to what he did in the friendly against Real Salt Lake, where he'll make a halftime substitution.
Yep.
Bring Belmar in. And
Which is
Belmar-
another thing. We
So I
have
think-
5 subs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So
Oh.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I
So-
think that then you see Cam with a short leash. I think he
I-
starts, but he has a short leash.
I think it's the same rule as like the Premier League and the Bundesliga, and I think Major League Soccer. I think it's 5 subs, but you have 3 changes. periods, 3 change periods.
And you have a water break.
So you're gonna have to make
each
double
half.
subs or triple sub or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do they have a water break each half? I
I'm
feel like
pretty
they
sure.
do. I feel like they do.
I would be sure. I mean,
like-
everyone else is doing it. Why would
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then, Nolan, do you want to talk a little bit more about Juan Barahona?
Oh, yes. So Juan Barahona, for those who don't follow the Twitter account, had
Shame on you.
Shame on you. Had surgery on his knee at the end of May
Yes.
to repair an ACL tear. So he will not
No, meniscus. Tear.
Meniscus. Yeah, it's a
Oh,
meniscus.
to repair a meniscus tear. And so we've gathered that he probably won't be available until at least September,
the
October.
club put out 4 to 6 months.
Yeah. So
That was put out by the club.
he's down.
So
for
the end
count.
of May. So
That
it's
puts
June,
you at
July,
September
August,
to November.
September.
Yeah.
So he's
September to November.
definitely not here for a while.
So that brings up the question of
maybe
fullbacks.
maybe a playoff push. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
I think Jordan McCrary, we can say, has nailed down the right side of the pitch
I think that's
For
at
sure.
fullback. So it's really a question of who plays on the left. Is it Shannon Gomez?
Who's
Is Shannon
also-
Gomez even healthy?
Yeah.
He's coming back from an ACL tear and
ACL
meniscus tear
and meniscus.
that
Double.
he suffered back in August
Mhm.
2019.
No, he had the surgery in August.
Yeah, the
surgery.
It
He
happened in late July.
Did it?
Yeah.
It was against
July
Orange County, right?
27th, I believe.
Something like that.
2019.
And then
July
Barahona came
27th.
in, and obviously he
Right.
had the job after that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what that happened. And then the other option that Sacramento has, which some people may have forgotten, is Ashkanov Apollon. Ash, the trialist signee, who, from what we've heard, is really a promising.
Yeah,
winger
definitely impressed.
Converted to fullback. So
Yeah, I
Um,
remember listening to an interview with Todd Donovan, who he started his career as a winger, and then somebody told him, "Hey, you could be an average winger, or you could be an amazing fullback."
Yeah.
So and Todd Donovan said the same thing about Ash. He was like, "Hey, you can be an average winger, or you can move to fullback." So
yeah,
I think they've been trying him at they've been training him at fullback.
yeah,
So if Gomez isn't healthy, then you have
an option.
you have option. And I mean, I could just be speculating, but the 15-year-old that we just signed,
Midfielder.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he can play fullback as well.
probably.
I mean, if you need a backup option,
At 15, you probably don't have a position nailed down.
right?
You're pretty flexible.
Yeah, and I would be interested to see, because I think he'd played in that Seattle Sounders friendly that we lost like 5-2 or something.
He did.
I mean, he might have played fullback, even if it was on the right. Like, I mean, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
it's movement and stuff that you need to worry about. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he can play fullback.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So he's an option there. Also, Matt Mahoney has played, I believe, left back as well in 2019.
I think he's
He's more of a central defender, but
yeah, and right back.
back. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't even remember I forgot he was on the squad.
Oh,
Is he
yeah.
on the squad?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on
I
the squad.
think
sure?
he's like a
He's
starting.
100% on the squad.
Matt Mahoney?
Matt Mahoney
I can't-
played in
I-
the game.
He started at center back.
No,
He
he
was
didn't.
the reason
no,
we
he
let
started
the
at
goalie.
fullback.
He
He's the
was the
reason
reason we
that
let the
he didn't
goalie.
try-
That's
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
because he reacted too slowly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember.
He started.
Garcia scored.
His name.
The number 10.
His name.
They're number
Or-
10. They're one of their star
Rodrigo
players.
da Costa.
DaCosta. That son of a gun.
Dude, your Matt Mahoney
Sneaky
totally
son
did
of
play
a-
right back. I completely forgot because McCrary was hurt.
Ah, crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hurt his hip in
There's
practice.
a
I remember.
full-back crisis.
It was a knock.
He's fine. It was a knock, and he
He's
was like,
playing
yeah.
a 15-year-old and a trialist signee in the first game back.
Oh
Oh my
man.
gosh.
I would bet you Shannon Gomez is healthy.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Let's
say
It's been a year.
that he might not play this game, but he'll play this season
And
Oh
let's-
yeah.
Let's
for
just
sure.
And he's a great player.
And I also just want to put it out there. I saw a news article that the team posted about Shannon Gomez recently, and I didn't read it, so we may not have done our due diligence, and they could have said something like season-ending injury or he's back and fully fit. We don't know because there is an article out there, and I haven't read
So
it.
it was something about. So he
His
did like the
resiliency.
USL game night
Yeah,
or whatever, and I remember kind of watching a clip of that, and they were talking about his like recovery.
okay,
So I think he might still be in that recovery
okay,
phase, but I didn't watch the entire
yeah,
the entire clip, and it was a couple weeks ago, so I don't
yeah.
really remember. But I think it's probably safe to say that we have a question mark at left back.
Yeah.
It's not probably
That is fair.
it is safe to say.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see that.
Who goes?
Do we want to talk about the other positions? I mean, Sam Warner and
The wingers.
just the wingers. I mean, if Belmar's healthy, does Belmar start
Over Formella.
over Formella, over Bijev, over Werner?
I think this is something that this is just a thought that came to me when you mentioned the 5 sub rule change, is that they can literally make a substitution of the entire attacking 5 after 45 minutes, or whenever they want, pretty much. Like, I don't think it's as big of a concern.
Like, you're not
who
necessarily
starts.
if somebody doesn't start, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, because you can just sub
because
everybody.
you can come in the 50th minute
Right.
or something.
Yeah, and play out.
And most likely we'll see big rotation early on anyway.
Because not a lot of guys are going to be
Because they're not going to be
Because
fit.
of fitness, yep.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just double checking the schedule just to see like how spread out the games are. I think there's
look
not a
pretty
Wednesday
packed.
game.
Oh.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So we have Monday, July 13th, and then we play Sunday, July 19th, Saturday, July 25th, and then Wednesday, July 29th. So there's not a Wednesday game for a month,
Okay.
or 3 weeks or so. So there's some time to get fit, but then that Wednesday game is Orange County. So hopefully we're fit and then got our lineup figured out and everything for that game. Any other comments? Any other observations? Any other things you might be looking for?
I think that's it for me.
Is there maybe something that we noticed from the first game that we want to see carry over to the second game, and then we'll get out of here?
Ooh, sorry, you sprung that.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I think we saw a couple things. I'll just do one. I want to see how, and I've said this before, but I want to see how the fullbacks interact with wingers. This is something we've talked about.
Okay, yeah.
And specifically, I'm bringing that up because now Briggs has had 3-4 more months to instill at least his concepts with the team. So I want to see if maybe they get it a bit more. If they can come in after a couple weeks of training, and it's probably particularly McCrary and whoever's on the right, because you have to think, I mean, Briggs has got to, at this point, I mean, it's a week before, he's got to have a starting lineup in mind. I want to see how those wingers and fullbacks interact. I think there was a lot of interchange and a lot of movement, and a lot of the attacking progression was based on those movements. So I just want to see how fluid it is and how in sync everybody is.
And if I could go off that, then I think we saw a lot of that. I think we saw a lot of good glimpses of that in the first regular season game, and we only scored 1 goal. And I think that a lot of that has to do with Cam and his touch. So what I want to see is 2 things. 1, Cam get his touch back, and 2, if he doesn't, I want to see him on a short leash, because we have attacking options here. And if it's not working, I want to see Briggs make a change. So that's what I would like to see. Through that build up, have that interchange, but then be able to finish and to see Cam get his touch back.
I think for me the big takeaway from the first game is who plays at center back, which is also a position we haven't quite talked about yet.
Uh-huh.
In my mind, I just keep running back that lofted ball over the top to
It was Barahona.
Juan Barahona by Hayden Sargis, and I was like, that's just such a beautiful ball. And I think they cut it out in the highlights, but go back and watch that.
No, it was in the highlights.
It was in the highlights.
I don't know
was.
if you see Sargis is the one who kicks it,
Yeah,
but you see the ball.
the ball come over. Okay.
Yeah.
That was Hayden Sargis, an 18-year-old. So, like, we talk about these academy guys probably not coming back, but really the only other options are Declan Keenan, who is like
Well, he's gonna. I think
at
he's gonna
risk
start.
because he's like 85. And then there's Tomas Hilliard-Arce, who we don't know his health status. And then there's Matt Mahoney, who's at fault for everything. So, who starts at center back? I don't know. Maybe it is Hayden Sargis. I think that would be interesting.
And would we be that mad if it was?
No.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
All
Yeah,
right.
Good point.
Well, that's going to be it for us today. Hey, you know what? Thank you guys.
Thank you,
It's been
Scott.
fun.
It has been
Refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exciting.
we were here for quite a little bit before, just talking about, just life events
fun. Yeah.
and, stuff going on in the world. But it was good to actually sit down and talk about soccer and record a show and get it out to everyone. We will have next week. Monday is the 13th, so we'll watch the game, and then we'll
Game review.
do a game review.
Yeah.
And a preview of the next game after that. And it's going to be weekly here on out. The preseason, whatever, that's over.
Yes.
We're gonna be weekly. So with that being said, glory,
Sacramento.